Okay, so what I'd like to do is just kind of recap what I just told you. I'm going to just identify some ways that I think that you can partner with me to be the change, and then we're going to have a time that I am open to questions. And honestly, I tell people in my discussions that there is no topic that I'm not willing to discuss. Well, most none. But if there is something I find hard to talk about, I'll just let you know. But so far, we haven't come across one in the time that I've been talking. So anyway, just to recap, I want to impress on you, again, the importance, I think it is, to take the time to get to know your patients. Get to know them, not just medically, but personally, especially when they're in the hospital. But even also in the clinic, even if you might just see them only once. Think of my story with the doctor and the plastic tips that was a contest for Michael. I never met that doctor again. Michael never encountered that doctor again. But he impacted us so profoundly. Be willing to think outside the box, especially in the case of pediatrics. You need to be creative as well as clinical. Offer all the choices that are available to patients and families, including ones that you might not personally agree with, but yet are proven to work. Serve the patient and family agenda, not your own, but the patient and family agenda, making the patient the focus, the center. Believe your patients and their families when they tell you something, especially if you have no reason not to. Don't make assumptions or judgments. Try really hard not to do that. It could very well look like one thing, but it might be something very different than that. I want to touch on compassion. When you thought that you just gave all the compassion that you had mustered up in one day, you're probably going to have to give more and then some more. Not just at your 8 o'clock appointment, but at your 4:30 appointment too. Not just at the beginning of your shift, but at the end of your shift too. Offer that level of compassion, more, and then some more compassion, and understanding at every clinic appointment that you have, if you're in the clinic environment. It could very well be the 5th one a patient and his family have. That kind of scenario happened to us often. We often were in a clinic, multiple clinics in one day. Offer that level of compassion, more, and then some more at those hospital visits. Again, the same kind of energy you had when you came on your shift, try to have that same amount of energy at the end of your shift. You never know when it could be that family's 3rd hospitalization that month, the 2nd one that week, or worst case scenario like ours, their son could be dying. Patients and families need you to have a depth of compassion that is limitless. Make coordinated care a top priority whenever you can, especially for patients and families with multiple specialty cares, with rare disease especially that often involves multiple specialty cares. Don't play that blame game. Trust me, no one ever wins at that game. Try not to turn on that really big bright light in the patient's room if it's 2 a.m. So often, Michael would be so scared and startled. Maybe he just fell asleep and someone came in and flipped on that really big bright light. It would take me hours to try to calm him back down, only to find out they just wanted to take his temperature. That didn't require that big bright light. So think about that. Think about not even turning on that big bright light at 7 a.m. unless you ask first. Just ask first. You never know if the people in that room haven't slept all night long and maybe just fell asleep at 10 to 7. Those kind of things happen to us a lot. And they might seem like little things, but they make such a big difference in the kind of experience that your patients and families have. Consider what it takes to walk in their shoes. Just for a few minutes, consider what it would be like to be Michael, to be his mother. Be aware of those private conversations that you're having outside the patient's room or at the front desk. I could write a book on the private conversations that I overheard just sitting in Michael's room. Be the one who says, let's not talk about this here. Let's take this into the lounge. Let's take this into a different place so people don't overhear us. Be that one. You are displaying yourself in those private conversations. Keep in mind that you want your words to have a strong influence on patients and families. Do you really want them to know what happened on Friday night? Think about that when you're having those conversations outside of patients' rooms. Be the change needs to be everyone's goal in the future of healthcare. All of us have the same healthcare goals. We all want the same things: safety, quality of care. Those are at the top of the list. In the past, we've tried to advocate change independent of each other. We have patients and families over here. We have healthcare providers over here. We have administration and legislation kind of moving in and out of that whole arena. Be the Change represents a new type of partnership where the patient and family perspective is represented in all areas of healthcare, in and outside of medical crisis. Adding the patient-family perspective to current healthcare methods develops transparent relationships and connected partnerships that will unite us together and increase the kind of care we receive and you deliver. Michael changed us. He changed many in the healthcare environment, many right here at the University of Minnesota. I like to think that he raised the bar in pediatric medicine. Even though you have never met him, you will meet kids like him. You will meet families like ours. You will meet mothers like me. My sincere hope is that now that you have heard some Michael moments for yourself, and that now you share in his legacy too, you are also changed and inspired to be the change we need in healthcare. Remember that patients and families are real people, not just a diagnosis. They have real lives, real emotions, real fears. After appointments, we went to Arby's to eat. We stopped at Cub and got what was on sale. I yelled at Michael on the way home most times. All that was very real, along with this big diagnosis, SIOD. Michael had a family that loved him, family and friends that loved him. He was my son, not just SIOD. We were a normal family before this, and suddenly we were not just fighting for Michael's life, but we were fighting for the life of our family. Relationships build trust that turns into greater understanding and deeper empathy. See each patient as your brother, your child, your parent, someone you love, and treat them accordingly. Treat them the way you would want them to be treated. A medical experience always includes a human experience. They are not separate. Please partner with me. I represent patients and families who need both you and me to be the change. It takes one person, one nurse, one doctor who leads by example and affects others and is the change. Thank you.